Hey guys, it's Jalen. Welcome back. I'm here today to share with you my update for my Petalette palette for this year. This year I decided to pick a palette and collaborate with a bunch of other ladies on a project idea that Paula had during our 2023 voting for the Fantastic Ladies Collab group, what the Petalette palette theme was going to be for this year, and her idea was better together. So we're basically working on two palettes. I picked the Norvina palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills first, and then we kind of decided to do the Better Together collaboration. So I decided to bring in another palette to work with that one, and I chose the Viseart Midsommer palette. And then I also have my baby Petalette palette, which is the Wet n Wild Quad in Petalette. So I'm going to first start with the Norvina palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and let me share with you what this looked like last month. All right, so it's a very dirty palette. We're going to clean this on camera, but I thought that I would show you. This is what my palette is looking like this month. Let me clean this palette because it's pretty grimy. So I'm going to grab a loose powder container, and I'm going to wrap a makeup wipe over it like this. And let's see how dirty it is. So much better. I'm going to take my wipe and clean in here because I can't. Okay, that is so much better. All right, here we go. Whoops. Okay, so let me actually, before I do this, I need to see what my palette looked like last month. I don't remember. Okay, so this palette compared to last month, I actually have one additional pan. My new pan is in rose gold here. There we go. It's a little bit easier to see there. And then the other big change is I did finish the shade base. I actually finished that one today. So yay, I have an empty pan. I have expanded the pan quite a bit in Love. And of course I have expanded it in Celestial as well. And a little bit in Dreamer. Oh, I'm sorry. I actually, one of my other new pans is this one. So I have 8 pans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 pans plus 1 finished shadow, so total's 8. Yeah, so I hit 2 additional pans this month. I'm sorry. Rose gold and this one here, which is incense, right? Yeah, incense. So there are my big changes. I am pretty happy with how this is looking. I think the next one I'll hit pan in is Wild Child. I was kind of going to try to focus on using that one today, but I ended up using some other eyeshadows. I did use Love, Incense, and Soul in my look today. You can probably see some pink shadow in there because I combined it with a bright pink shadow that I'm working on in another project. Now, with base, it does appear to be a bit rusty on the outside part of the pan. Yeah, I mean, what can you do? So far, I'm not seeing any rust in any of these other pans, but I could be wrong. So going back, I really have not used Summer at all. And I've used this shade here at the end, Eccentric, a little bit, but not a ton. So I would say that I hit pan and rose gold in about 11 uses. And incense, I have used so much. I think I hit pan pretty quickly after the last update, and I had 14 uses last month. I'm up to 20. And that's one that I go in several times to do a look, and I only count the times that I use them, the days that I use them. So Love, Incense, and Soul, I will go into these 3 shades, and Volatile too, multiple times to use them. Typically Drama and Passion, I may dip in just a couple of times just to do, because it's typically more of an outer corner, outer lid shade for me. But yeah, anyway, that's how things are looking. So I think next month I may have pan in Wild Child, and Soul may happen. That's looking like a pretty deep pan to me. When did he leave? He never sticks around. In terms of weight, this palette weighed 189.3 grams last month. It's now at 188.5. So I used 0.8 grams. I need to use like a little bit more than that per month in order to hit my goal of finishing. But I had a bit of a cushion. So I had a cushion of about 0.4 to 0.5 grams. So I'm okay. I'm doing okay. I have used a total of 3 grams in this. And this total weight of this, according to the palette, is a little bit less than 10 grams. So I'm almost a third of the way there, which is great. Over a quarter of the way there. Yeah, a quarter of the way there is 2.5, and that's where we are right now. So I'm at 3. So I'm doing pretty well with this. And that's assuming that there's the amount of shadow that they say is in here. It's actually in here, which is probably not true. All right, so that's the Norvina palette. I am enjoying that one quite a bit. The shades that I'm really going to struggle with are going to be these two. I think I'll do fine with the lid shades. I think they'll be fine, but to be honest, like this one, Volatile, I do love the color quite a bit, but it's very densely packed compared to the other, like these other shadows. And Eccentric is just not a shade that I typically go for. So at the end of the day, if that's the one that's left in this palette at the end of the year, that's fine. I'm fine with that. All right, moving on to my Better Together palette, the second part of it. As I mentioned, I'm working on the Viseart Midsommer palette. So I'll show you what this one looked like last month. So here's what this guy is looking like. So I do have one pan I hit in this shade here, which is shade number 5. So I used this quite a bit in my inner corner. Once I hit pan in this, I kind of moved to my Level Up palette because I was working on hitting pan in that inner corner shade as well. So once I hit pan in that, I will move back to this one being my primary inner corner shade. I also focused a lot on these two shades here. Now that I have finished base, this will be the shadow that I use to set my eyeshadow primer. And then this one I'm using right now to use as my first crease shade. It's beautiful as a first crease shade. It's light, but it still packs enough of a punch. You can see it's a light shade, and I really do like it for my first crease shade, especially because I think this is too dark for me to go in with a first crease shade. Love is okay as a first crease shade, but I actually prefer to have something else down first before I go in with either of those, and that's kind of what I've been using for this one. So I think that's these two are the next two that I think I'm going to hit pan in this palette. Now I have not used these other shades that often. This one here may be a good shade for me to use as an inner corner come the summer after I have a tan. But the rest of these I'm using here and there. And I also think this one's probably going to start getting some more use, especially after I hit pan in that pink shade I'm working on. This is going to get some more use. I have used this as a deepening shade in the outer corner, and this one is not my favorite because it's got that glitter in there. But the rest of these shades I do quite a bit, so we'll see. I don't know, is Volatile close to this shade? No. So this is Volatile, and this is that darker kind of grayish matte in the Viseart palette. I just was wondering if they were close. So that is the Viseart palette. As I mentioned, I do think I'll have 2 more pans next month, but that's probably going to be it. Now, in terms of usage, just to give you an example, I've used both of these shades here 35 times each, and I still do not have pan. It took me 50 uses to finish base in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette, the Norvina palette. And I have used, as an example, I've used Love and Incense both 20 times. And that's my pan. So it just goes to show you that these, I mean, I know I've mentioned this before, but these are very tightly packed shadows compared to the ABH formula. All right, my BB pan, that palette is this Wet n Wild Quad in Petalette. I'll throw a picture of what this one looked like last month. There's not a lot of changes. I have started to use this shade here a bit, this mauve shade. I really do love it. It's beautiful. When I do purple looks, I'll go in with this. And of course the pan and that purple shade has expanded because I do use that one quite a bit. I haven't really used either of these shimmer shades very much. In fact, I think I used the pink one maybe once or twice, but I have not used that white one at all. I did take some of that white shade and mix it with a highlighter from ABH and put it into this, but honestly, I have not really touched this very much since I was focused on some other shadows to hit pan in for an inner corner. I also think this may be too light, too frosty, so I may consider mixing it with some other shadows to make it less kind of blinding. I mean, I like an inner corner to be brightening, but I don't want it to be like stark white. So I may do some mixing on this one, or I may just focus on the one in my Viseart palette. I feel like that may be a better choice. Oh, I did not mention this palette, the Viseart palette. I used last month it weighed 47.3 grams. This month it weighs 47 grams. So I've used 0.3 grams from this palette. I need to use like 0.67 a month in order to finish this. I did not hit that goal. I only got through half of that. So far I've used a total of 1.5 grams. I think this has a total of 8 grams in the palette. So this is definitely a companion palette. It's not my focus. I am enjoying it, but I should say, and I do think I'm going to get a lot of use on these two shades. So it's probably going to lose more weight next month than it did this month. And I did not use very much of this one at all. I think I used 0.2 grams in this one. Mostly with that purple shade and a little bit from the mauve. So far I've used a total of 1 gram out of here. This has a total of 4.5. But that's including what I scraped out of this shade. I am going to do I know I've seen Dannie and a couple of other folks do montages like this. I think Jessica does it. I'm going to do a montage at the end of the video before I go to my extras that will show you kind of the progression of the palette so far. I didn't do it the first 2 months because it seemed pointless to do, just a couple of pictures. But since I have, 4 pictures now, I will show you a progression of how things have looked like with my palette over the last 3 months. Okay, that is going to be it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you're doing well and staying safe. Please hit that subscribe button and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. What are you doing? Say hi. This is as good as it's going to get. He says as good as it's going to get. Hi, baby. Hi, baby. What are you doing? Oh, okay. You want to get up? Hey. Hi. Don't do that. Don't chew my furniture. Any more than you already have. Oh. You like that? Okay, bye.